Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And I have a very special guest today with me, Diana. Diana, tell our viewers about yourself.
I come from Romania. I moved to Canada 7.5 years ago, and I had a very tough time with my move. And this is why I created a program for people who want to move abroad. And in this program, I really wanted to cover not only the logistical and the financial and the administrative aspects of their move, but also the social aspects and the social challenges and the mental and the emotional challenges as well. Because I find people don't really talk about these things. And this is why we're here, right?
Yes, in my YouTube channel, I usually talk about immigration because I'm an immigration consultant. So it's mostly about the rules and technical aspects, point, programs, and all those things. And I very rarely I talk about the emotional aspect and social aspect because I believe so. There was actually one statistics that out of 10 people who moved to Canada, 25, not let's say 100 people moving to Canada, 25% are from India.
Wow.
Yes, so one out of four person who is an immigrant in Canada is from India. Maybe it's because of the population size, or because we speak good English, or we have the youngest population in the world. And Canada gives more points to young people to migrate. So that's why you see a lot of young people. And I see them struggling. So their dream has come true. They wanted to come to Canada. Now they are in Canada. Maybe as a student for now, or as a worker, or they have already gotten permanent residency and are citizens. But it's a very taboo topic. Nobody really wants to talk about it. People
And
are.
nobody prepares you for it. That's the thing. So it hits you after you come. And I think, people focus on the logistical aspects. Okay, I need a visa. Oh my God, I need a job or an income. Oh, I need a place to stay. And all these things are very important at the beginning because you can't move without having these things. But then after these things settle, then it hits you. Oh my God, I miss my family. Oh my God, I need some friends. Oh my God, I feel so lonely. So that's how it usually happens.
Yes, yes. I see people right now. We have advantage of social media. We have advantage of tools like WhatsApp, video call, Facebook Messenger, Skype, and everything. But still, there is no replacement for that physical touch, that physical presence of our loved ones. And
And
yeah,
and there is something very interesting. One of my friends said that our brain is not used to seeing 2D images. So right now, because we're talking over the internet, I can see you just in 2 dimensions, right? But our brain is used to, and our body is used to interacting in 3D. So to see you in 3D, and right now our brains don't really understand how to interact with a 2D image, or mostly with 2D images. And this is something that has never happened before in such an amount, a huge amount.
so let's talk about Canada. What were your challenges which you faced? And because I know that you have lived in other countries before Canada, how was Canada different, and what were the
Other
challenges you found socially when you moved here?
I wanted, before I answer your question, I wanted to say that no matter where you move, it is going to be hard at the beginning. Because imagine that if you live in a certain city, in your home city, for a longer time, for sure that you are going to have your family, your friends there, and those friends that you made while you were a child, and those friendships are very, very strong. But then when you move to a new country or in a new city, you don't have these connections. And it takes time until you build your group of friends, until you build that connection with other people. So no matter where you go, you will need to invest more time, more energy, more resources, more feelings until you get to those connections. And this requires a lot of resources from you. So you are going to feel tired. You are going to feel that, I don't know, disappointed. And it's also, you're going to miss that oxytocin that you get from interacting with people. My experience has been very tough. I've lived in Canada. Lived in Germany as well. But when I came to Canada, I completely underestimated how these things are going to be. So I was like, oh, I've lived in several countries. Everything's going to be fine. I'm going to go to all these groups and I'm going to meet people and I'm going to create a large group of friends. But then when I came here, I realized that the culture is very, very different, that the people don't put that much importance on their social life or on their relationships, and that they have their close group of friends, usually a small group of people, and they don't let you in to those groups. And it's very, very hard to create friends. And to me, this was really a shock, because I had never had issues in creating relationships and in getting to know people. And I thought that something is wrong with me. I felt really, I didn't know what to do. And I
You
remember, oh my
without
God,
being
Cecile.
an ambitious person, like it's
And I remember this one time so I did a lot of things. I volunteered at the aquarium. I took several courses. I went to internations. I went to a lot of groups because I really wanted to meet people. So I wasn't that type of person to sit on a couch and wait for things to happen. And I remember this one time I was taking a course at BCIT and we had to do a project with a group. And I said, as I usually did when I was in Germany or when I was in Romania, I said, okay, people, come over to my place. I'm going to make some food for you and we can work on a project. And they didn't understand what I was saying. They're like, are you inviting us over to your house? So basically, that was not something that they were doing on a regular basis, or they hadn't done it. And because we had just met, for them, it was really weird that I was inviting them to my place. And I was mind blown. I'm like, no, this is how things work in life. But apparently, the rules are different here. It takes such a long time to create meaningful connections to people.
I believe people in Canada somehow are different, and this present generation, they take pride in being introvert. Like everything is, oh, I'm anxiety. Oh, I get overwhelmed. Oh, I'm an introvert. There's so many excuses people take. Like, I get it. Like, you can be introvert, but we are humans. We are social animals. That's how we evolved for millions of years. And now suddenly you are in your, one bedroom apartment or in your, small house, living with roommates, not coming out, playing video games, watching movies, watching Netflix, watching videos, and not going out, meeting people, watching porn, and just this instant gratification, right? And it is difficult. People are difficult. I know friendships are difficult, and people just not don't put effort into it.
That's so true. So it's difficult to deal with other people always, but relationships are very rewarding. I have a theory that people in Vancouver get pets because pets love you unconditionally. So they need to they want the connection with another being, but it's hard to invest in relationships. So then just buy a pet because that pet is going to be there. And
Yeah, and it's like owning a slave and uh, castrating them, cutting their balls off. Oh, he's my best friend. I just cut his balls off so that he cannot have sex. Like It's so stupid and pathetic, and you are leaving them alone. And a human being cannot be a pet. They will have, demands. They will be difficult to handle. They will have certain standards, and they will always won't be there for you, right? You'll have to work hard for your relationships. And it
Mhm.
is incredibly sad. I see people with dogs, with cats, like women in their late 20s, 30s, just done with their life. I have a cat. I'm good. I don't
Mhm.
want a man. I have a dog.
So, to our to the people watching, just as a practical suggestion or advice, I think there are a lot of rankings on the internet that you can find. Just search for the loneliest cities in the world.
Yes.
And Vancouver is one of the top loneliest cities in the world. I mean, even a study here, done here, has shown that Vancouver is one of the loneliest cities in the world and one of the unhappiest cities in the world. And
Why
also
real estate is
Canada.
so expensive here?
Mm?
Real
What?
estate is so expensive here. It looks like everybody wants to live here.
Yeah, I. It's interesting. One of my friends was saying that the flatter a city, the lonelier, because flat cities, flat cities, that
Yeah.
the landscape is flat. So the cities that are on flat ground, that they are lonelier because they are wider spread. So that's what statistics show. But going back to the rankings, Canada is among the loneliest countries in the world. But what I found fascinating, Sushil, is that people coming from Toronto, when they come to Vancouver, they say it's very, very hard to make friends. So the takeaway here, so
Why do you
first,
think that is? Why do you think that is?
so I have different theories, okay? I always have theories for stuff. So first of all, here in Vancouver, they shoot a lot of films. So
Okay.
Vancouver is known that, a lot of films that we see on TV and shows, they're filmed here, which means that people come here project based.
Hmm.
Also, there's a lot of IT stuff that is going on here, and then a lot of people come for a period of time. They know that they are here for the length of the project that they're on, which means that they don't need to grow roots here. That's one thing. So it's because of the occupation that people have. Then I find that the predominant populations are Indian and
Chinese.
and Chinese, yes. And I find that those groups do hold together, and it's a little bit harder to um, to get into their groups or their families.
But what about
So
white people? White
and yes,
white Canadians.
and then there's the white people who um, who are not. So the culture here is very individualistic,
Hmm.
which means that people don't they're in their micro environment with their families and with, I don't know, one or two friends, and then that's it. So that's what they need. And again, a practical advice for the listeners, just because that's why I specialize in. Yeah, there are these cultural dimensions by Hofstede, Hofstede, and those six dimensions, they show how a culture is. If they're more individualistic or more collectivistic. Individualistic means that they are very happy just by themselves or in smaller groups. Collectivistic means that they need larger groups, and those cultures are more welcoming for people. So it's interesting when our listeners or our audience decides to go somewhere, it would be nice to see how the culture is and know what to expect.
I also believe that one of the main reason why Vancouver is the loneliest place is that it is the most expensive city in the world. And most other people cannot own a house. It's difficult to rent. so they will eventually move out. Even if you want to live here, this city will throw you out. And unless
Especially
you
when
are,
you have kids.
yeah, and unless you are a millionaire, it is impossible to live here. So I think that is to be blamed. I have lived in other parts of Canada. I have lived 6 years in Kamloops, in
Hmm.
which is interior of British Columbia, and I see not so much difference. Like you cannot, Canada is a lonely country. Like I see on Christmas, people don't go to each other. People like in our cultures, we have Diwali, which is equivalent of Christmas. We give sweets to each other, even if we don't say hi to them, because they live in the same neighborhood. Even if and the doors are open, and you are going there eating sweets, spending 5-10 minutes greeting, then other house, then other house, then other house.
Yeah.
And here I've seen people who have lived together for 15 years. They don't know their names, the name of the neighbor. So it
So
is,
shit. I say hi to some of my neighbors and they don't say hi back. And then I go to closer to them and say hello so that I know for sure that they heard me and then they say, oh, hello.
yeah, and I know in Kamloops in BC interior, when you go hike, because I have a Canadian wife and she always say hi to people and they say hi back. But it's not always the case with me because I'm an immigrant, I'm a brown man. So they have something else cooked in their head. So they are, like not saying hi to me. So they do that to her, but not to me. Sorry, I'm just adjusting the light. Yeah. So there are those kind of things which I understand. As an immigrant, you will face. People will always not going to trust you as much as they will trust a white male who speaks in a Canadian accent, right? So these are the problems which I think Canada is going through right now, and any because it's very high number of population in Canada is of immigrant, and I think local Canadians who have lived here for generations, it's hard for them to think, what's going on in their culture. It's hard for people like us as well, especially who come from Eastern cultures or Asian cultures, what they are thinking, and they have different taste as well. Now, me as a person from India, I cannot talk about fishing and camping for hours. I don't understand ice hockey. Like, I see there, like, and Canadians, we friends, we make fun of them that they are champions of small talk. They'll talk about whether how your day is going, weekend. After that, boom, your colleagues won't even say hi to you if they see you in grocery shop. And here, it's just different. And I know people, they talk for hours. They talk about their trucks, their camper, their boats, ice fishing, and ice hockey. And I would love to talk about it, but they bore me to death. I cannot talk about it, right? So eventually I'm not going to hang out with you. So for a person like me, I'm here for almost 9-10 years now, and I have way too many friends. Actually, I think I need to cut some people off in my life, but not everybody is as lucky. Maybe because I did studies here, and my wife is also from Canada, so that helps in connecting with people. But what advice would you give a mid-20-year-old man from other culture outside Europe, because or maybe in Europe, if they have different taste and different hobbies than Canadians, how can you connect with people? Where do you find and meet people?
Hmm. Well, aside of the fact that now with COVID, the things are a little bit harder than before, I can say that there's several things that one person can do. And the things that have worked for me, because ultimately right now I also have a lot of friends, but it took a lot longer than it would have taken in another place. So first of all, I would encourage people coming to join groups. groups of people to join meetups. There's meetup.com where people with the same interest meet. Very many of my and some of my dearest friends are from Toastmasters.
Yes.
Just how we met, right?
Yes.
And we connected right away. So it was it took me so many years to connect with other people, but when I got to our Toastmasters club, I was able to make friends right away because we were very similar. So then some of my friends are from when I volunteered at the aquarium, at the Vancouver Aquarium. There's a lot of places where people meet. Another one is Internations. At Internations, this is especially for people coming from other countries. Internations.org, I think, or .com, I don't remember. And then you can see where people meet and join those meetings. Again, meetups. If you like dancing salsa, there's some salsa lessons or salsa dances, and you can go there. Meetups on, I don't know, knitting, or, for sure you're going to find a
Meetup
group.
actually works. I've never tried it, but it works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So that's another possibility. If you're taking a course at a university, or that's another way of meeting people. And so I think that's the first thing. It starts going to these groups where people meet that have the same interests in you, with you, as you. I think, you came here as a student. And I believe that if people are in the same period of their life or in the same phase, either they just came to Canada and they want to connect with people. Those are the people that you're going to connect with right away because they are in the same boat as you. If you have kids, then just maybe find other parents that have kids of the similar age because you're going to connect with them as well. So try to find people that are in the same life phase as you are because it's going to be easier to connect with them. Then identify if you have friends of friends or something like that in the area, because those friends of friends, if they have lived for a longer time here, then they will have their circle of friends as well. People from your same culture, if you want to, although I realize that some people don't want to interact with people from the same culture. No, I'm like, what? Why?
I can tell you the reason. Because some cultures are very judgmental. So someone from India or Pakistan, from Middle East, especially for women, if they are drinking out, they're partying, they're dancing, they're wearing short clothes, right? So those kind of things, people gossip and make their lives difficult. So when you are those kind of people, when they interact with, let's say, someone from Germany or someone from America, they know they won't be judged if they are smoking marijuana. They won't be judged if they're drinking. They won't be judged if they having casual sex. It is like that.
Right. And then another thing that I would suggest, so for example, I was hoping in Canada to make good friends at work. But here, people don't really interact with people at work outside of work. So I was used to, okay, we're going to go for drinks after work, or we're going to meet make our vacations together, plan our vacations together. But this is not how things work here. I mean, everyone is very nice and friendly, but at 4:30 or at 5, when your job ends, then those people don't know you anymore. So no, that's and I thought it was just where I worked, but actually everyone says the same thing, most of the people, and it's sad. So to that point, I think everyone coming or going somewhere, and especially to Canada, I think they need to have realistic expectations, honestly. So I didn't have realistic expectations, and I had a shock, and I was very disappointed. I felt very lonely and so on. So I think people just need to know that it's going to be a lot harder to find those people that really resonate with you than in other countries. So I think a realistic expectation is very, very important.
So, yeah, you said meeting people on Meetup. volunteering, maybe starting a school or something, and dance groups.
Yeah, or the same hobbies, right? So people that have the same hobbies, and people try to find people that are in the same life phase
Yeah,
as you are.
yeah. I understand actually because a lot of people they make friends through here. One good thing about Canada is that people are very outdoorsy. So you will find a TD club, table tennis club, a tennis club, a soccer club, even a cricket club. There is a whole cricket league here, and people play cricket and make friends. But I get it. Uh, these are the things you can do, and maybe you can find these things on Google as well. However, it is way more difficult than that. Like people just don't accept you that way. So
Mm-hmm.
how do you say, especially in times of COVID now, like you cannot shake hands, you don't know whether to hug or not, or whatever. In some cultures, it's difficult, and I think COVID has made it more awkward for us to interact with each other.
Yeah.
So if I ask you, uh, help someone, like just tell them like okay, this is how you approach person, this is how you talk, and this is how you see if that person is open to your friend or not. And so, how would you recommend going about approaching a person?
Mm-hmm. So, Sheil, this is a very hard question. Come on. um, so, in one of my books, I wrote how I think it's important to really understand the culture, and this only happens by observing.
Mm-hmm.
So, observe how people interact and be curious. Be curious. Don't be judgmental. I was very judgmental, and I think I am even now. But don't be just take it as it is. Take it as it is. So look how people meet, how they interact. If they like small talk, start with that. Start
Mm-hmm.
with small talk. Talk about the weather, talk about a Netflix show, talk about something that you know about, right? So that's one thing. That's the way to break the ice.
Mm-hmm.
Here, people they get scared when you get too open and when you share too many things, or
Yeah.
when they feel that you get into their circle of comfort. So
Mm-hmm.
you need to be patient. Then I think
Mm-hmm.
asking questions is also safe.
Mm-hmm.
Say how do I do that, or how do you feel when I don't know, when I talk about these things. So ask and be honest about the fact that maybe you are new here and that you don't know the ways.
Mm-hmm.
People, no matter they come from, or where they are from, they do like to help.
Yes.
So when you are really honest and say, you know what, I just arrived here. People interact differently. Is it okay for me to say these things? Is it okay for me to maybe touch a person or hug a person? Well, right now it's not, but but just ask, and even make fun of yourself and say, oh, in Romania we do this, crazy people, or in India we do I don't know what, and this works all the time, but apparently here it doesn't. So be honest, make fun of yourself, and observe people, observe them without being judgmental, if
One more,
possible.
I, one more thing I've realized in Canada, uh, and maybe with the younger generation, people, especially immigrants, don't understand the level of anxiety people face in who grew up in Canada or who are from Canada. For me, it's still, I think I sometimes become insensitive because I don't go through that. And when I see someone going through that, I have been guilty of not empathizing. I just put them in a box like they are just rude. They are just idiots. They don't have social skills and they disrespected me or something. But some people really have anxiety issues here and people get overwhelmed. Um, for an immigrant, how do we learn about it, or how do we interact with them?
You know what? I've learned that no matter where you come from, ultimately people are the same and people need the same things. People need to feel seen, they need to feel understood, they need to feel validated. So I think approaching a person not as a Canadian but as a human being helps a lot, first of all. So try not to put people in a box just because you don't want to be put in a box yourself, right? So I am blonde, that means that I'm a lousy driver, right?
That for Asians.
um, so you don't want to put people in a box. And I think again an open conversation with a Canadian helps a lot. I have I have been very judgmental about people who say that they're anxious because no matter what it is, oh, this makes me anxious. Oh, this makes me anxious. Oh, if I do this, if I go in a new place where people, this make me anxious. And anxious is on everyone's lips nowadays. But sometimes anxiety is actually healthy, right? So you feel nervous before a presentation at work because that's important for your career and that's a normal thing and that's a healthy thing to be anxious because that puts you in a state of alertness and keeps you focused. But your question was, how do we understand them? Yeah, that's so just know that I feel here in Canada, people don't have a very wide variety of experiences. Everything is pretty controlled and pretty, so you know what to expect is foreseeable. Whereas in countries where we come from, we need to be spontaneous and to adapt. The bus is not coming on time. You're going to be late for that. People, sometimes call you out on the street and say rude things. So things are very unpredictable. So then we learn to adjust and not to be thrown off by, I don't know what thing happened. Whereas people here maybe don't have that, the opportunity to train themselves to be responsive. So just being a little bit compassionate towards that and again talk to people, try to understand why they feel like that, because if you bring your compassion into any relationship, then you're going to also bring more understanding and the other person will feel that.
But I've seen people here, they cancel a lot on you. They
They're
make
fake.
plans and they cancel. And especially when you are interested in opposite sex, you are thinking of dating them, and they cancel on you. It really puts you in a difficult position, both for a man and a woman, whether they like me or not. What is this? And it is not that simple because people cancel on each other as a friend, as a dating partner, as even for interviews, business meetings, and it is just so easy for people to cancel over text now. So how can we deal with that, especially when you are trying to date someone?
Yeah, but I am going to ask you, do you want to date or to be together with a flaky person? Do you want to do business with a person that is not reliable? So you're not missing out on anything, in my opinion, because if a person cancels on you, it it might be that they're going to cancel always or that you won't be able to know for sure if they're going to come when you have a meeting. So in my opinion, those people who are flaky, I don't want to date them. I don't want to be
There will be
business
no one
partners.
left because and sometimes it's a genuine reason. So is there a rule like, okay, sometimes you cancel one? So how many chances shall we give? Is there a rule you have made or you think is acceptable?
I have learned not to have expectations.
Okay.
So especially if a person is new in my life, I give them opportunities. One, two, and then I start not having expectations and knowing that I cannot really connect to that person.
Mm-hmm.
And you said that now you have a lot of friends. So that means that there are people out there that you resonate with. They're just harder to find.
It took me almost 10 years, right?
It took
So,
it took me six. It
yeah.
took me 6 or 7, and meaning that I have found people along the way, but I know that it would have been a lot easier if I would have been in a different country.
Yes.
So it takes longer for sure, but you are going to find your tribe ultimately. You just need to know that the effort that you're putting in is 3, 5, 10 times bigger than if you would go to a different culture or a different country. But never stop trying. Never stop trying. So give people chances. Allow, be okay if they don't show up, and just know to expect that and not to be disappointed. I tell my friends who are dating that know that 95% of your dates are going to be a failure. They are.
Mm-hmm.
Because every time I was going out on a date, I was like, this is the one. This is the one I'm gonna marry. This is the one. And 95% of the time, it's not the case. And rather than being disappointed, just know that it's more probable for that person not to be your better half or the person you're going to spend your life with. And, manage your expectations. I have a friend, Sushil. She went on 80 dates. 80. She met with 80
In
people
Canada?
before she found her future husband.
Was that in Canada?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So she said, you know what? I'm going to date as long as I need to date and see as many people as I need to see, but I want to find the right person. So she didn't get discouraged,
She didn't get a
right?
cat.
And she didn't get a cat. Yeah. So and then she was saying, you know what? I was meeting people. I was meeting those guys, and sometimes I knew in the first 5 minutes that I do not want to date them, and I would just leave the date. I wouldn't spend time on it. So she was telling me about this guy who they sat down to order food, and then the guy made a comment about the waitress. And my friend said, I'm sorry. I think this is not a good fit. And then she left, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a very, I don't know, mathematical approach or a very structured and rational approach, but you know what? It worked.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
lower your expectations and have patience.
Yeah, actually, for dating, I want to have another session with you. We'll
Oh,
just talk about uh, casual sex, dating, marriage, all those kind of relationship things in next video. I know that you have actually created a course which you just mentioned in the beginning. Tell us about that course and where people can buy it, access it. Most of my audience is interested in Canada or are already in Canada. How can it help them, benefit them?
yes. Thank you very much for asking, Sushil. This course is an online course, meaning that there's very short videos on a lot of topics, on how to decide on the right city to move to, how to do, the high level, how to do your paperwork. I know that you are the expert in paperwork. Then how to find a job, how to find a house, and how to plan for the budget, which I find is very important. So I give a lot of suggestions of how to gather the money for the budget, how to plan the budget before the move and after the move, and such things. So I believe that this is based on a very long research about also talking to very many immigrants who have come to Canada and have managed to settle here. So they were successful in emigrating, in coming here. And this course is not only for people moving to Canada, actually. So this course applies to no matter where you go. And I also added a module about COVID, because this is very, right, so has changed the landscape of international moves. So I update that one with news and so on. So I encourage the people to go to the page where I explain in detail everything that is in every module.
I'll have in the description below this video.
Yes. Yes, so the link is going to be in the description of the video. And I highly encourage people to take that course. So it saves a lot of time, a lot of stress, and also a lot of money. And this is what I wanted to share, because when I came to Canada, there was no one-stop shop for all these things, basically. And you find it very scattered information. 5 things you absolutely need to know before you move to another country. 10 things I wished I would have known, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes these things are valuable, but believe me, so I searched the whole internet and I gathered everything. I put in my experience of many immigrants to make sure that this course is really reliable and it helps people. So at least check it out and see what you feel about it.
Yeah, I'll definitely. I'm still going through it right now, and it's really interesting and fascinating. And people are not only, I think, moving to Canada. People after COVID, I believe, will move to bigger places, countries which have more space. Now everybody can work remotely, and they don't have to be stuck in their apartment in tiny cities with population exploding. So I think it can help them a lot.
Yeah. I have theories that if people wanted to move abroad before COVID, right now their desires are even more intense than before. And people have realized that their medical systems, their political systems are sometimes unreliable, and that they do want to move to countries that are better from that perspective, for sure.
That's great. Thank you so much, Diana, for giving me time and talking to us about loneliness and moving to Canada and all sort of things. We will like to continue this because people are way more interested in moving to countries like Australia, to Canada, to New Zealand, to even countries like Bali. Bali's not a country; it's whatever, Indonesia or whatever. So I really think you can help people, and just having a conversation, like difficult conversation, because a lot of people don't admit that they don't know everything. They don't admit that they cannot find a date. They cannot admit that they don't have friends. And then we have excuses like, oh, I'm an introvert. I am this. I'm this. Or I have
yes, I'm focusing on my career.
Yeah. So thank you so much, and we will talk again.
Thank you so much, Sushil. This has been a lot of fun, and I really, really hope that these things are helpful for people who are thinking of moving to other countries. And I'll talk to you soon.